We know Anthony.
But I have explained.
He's explained it.
I've explained what the symbols mean.
Sure.
And then you find out the motivational reason.
So I'm going to get some comments on this video from ladies who are like, oh, is he single?
I'm so grateful for the love I'm receiving. Love are the only thing, only man a prefer. No need to stress.
Welcome to this episode of Your Guide on Ghana. Today I am speaking with a man who is making a huge impact in Ghana, not only through his work, but he's also impacting the communities. And he's doing it all by becoming the Rolex of Africa. Caveman Watches, the man behind this brand. I'm going to get to talk to him today, and I hope that you enjoy the conversation we have. I absolutely adore what he's doing. I think that he is not only a great personality, but I think he's a good representative of the future of Africa. So today I speak with Mr. Anthony Jamafe.
No need to stress.
So Anthony, I'm so glad that you took some time to speak with me today.
I'm very happy to be on your platform. I've been watching your YouTube channel for some time, and it's such an honor for me to finally be on your platform.
Thank you. Thank you. I know we've been really trying to do this for a long time, and so I'm glad that finally came together. So I want to know a little bit about you, what your background is, you know, your story. Who were you before Caveman Watches?
Before Caveman Watches, I was working in a hotel. I was working in a hotel at the airport. I worked in the office for some time, and then they moved me to the airport where I am, the guys who hold the signages at the airport.
Yes.
So I was doing that for a hotel, holding their signage, trying to get people to the hotel with the courier. And then just one day I felt like I was capable of too much to be there. So I took the bold step, and then I resigned from there. I tried some businesses that failed very well, trying to find opportunities here and there. And then just one day, I wanted to buy a watch for the first time in my life. I never liked watches before then. So I walked into a shop to buy a wristwatch, and then there was 150 cities at the time, I think 2015. And I was confused, like, why should a watch be that expensive?
Okay.
I had only 50 cities on me. So I left the shop. I saw somebody selling a watch on one of the social media platforms, and then I called a guy. He came and I bought the watch for 50 cities. So I just put a watch on my wrist. I took a picture of it, and somebody saw the picture and said, "Oh, nice watch. Are you selling it?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" So I sold my first watch that I bought for 50 cities in 2015. So I made some profit on it, and that was like a light bulb moment for me. Like,
Okay.
I just made some profit. What if I repeated this?
Uh-huh.
So I started a numbers game, working up and down in my room with the paper. And I called the supplier. He came back, and I bought 2, and I stole 2, and I bought 3, and just that.
Okay. What's interesting about when you first started was you said that you didn't like watches. So then why did you buy one?
Yeah, because I was trying some businesses, right?
Uh-huh.
And they required me having meetings with people.
Okay.
So I wanted to look the part.
Okay.
Just wear a night watch, So that was the first time I wanted to buy a watch in my life, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and I like that you told that you got one, made the profit, then 2, then 3, because a lot of people, they just see the end, and they assume that you just kind of jumped into a business and then it's a success. Yeah. Like a lot of young people, they'll be like, I want to do this, I want to do that, but they don't understand the process. So I'm glad that you shared that part. So once you started selling those, you saw that it was a lucrative business. Yeah. And then what was the next thing that you did?
Yes, so I saw that there was potential there, and most importantly, I realized that it was an available market. I like to put it like finding a gap in the markets and building my own market in the gap. So I realized that there was no company in Ghana that was, well known for just watches. There were even people selling watches at the time, but they were selling watches and other things.
Mm-hmm.
Watches and perfumes and watches and leather bags and shoes, but with nobody known for just watches.
Yeah.
I was interested in that. So I focused on just selling watches, and then I added value little by little. I mean, at a point I was like, okay, apart from just selling watches, let me sell time-telling devices in general. So I added wall clocks, I added hourglasses, I added compasses, Da Vinci clocks, sundials. You know, I was creating a time-telling device industry for myself because it wasn't there. So yes, I added value time after time, and then eventually realized that apart from people buying watches, there were people who had good watches that had to just be fixed. I mean, just faulty watches to be fixed. Then I learned how to repair watches so I can serve those people too.
So how did you learn to repair watches from having no knowledge? What did you do? Did you find someone who taught you?
Yeah, I did find somebody who taught me. You know, so I realized that, first of all, I'm a curious guy. I break things down a lot. So I was breaking watches down to learn how they work. And it was quite fascinating. I realized that there were people who were like veteran watch repairers in Ghana, and fixing watches for like decades. I'm like, these guys, they should know how watches are made. But how come none of them have, you know, taken the step to make one? I approached veteran watch repairers on the roadside, apprenticed for them. I would go every morning, sit by them and learn. They would let me get hands-on and repair some watches. So I learned from the roadside watch repairers how to fix people's watches. Then I started doing that. Office to office, fixing people's watches, and gradually building that recognition for myself as the watch guy. You know, I realized that when people come, diasporans come into the country and they have very expensive and good watches, there was nobody they trusted enough to work on their watches. So they would take it back when they are going back.
Right.
Like, no. In Ghana as a country, we can't be that deprived to not have a top-notch global standard watch repairer. So I was looking at that market as well to become that corporate watch repairer. And it was working. I mean, very high-profile people would bring very expensive watches for me to fix. So I was gradually building that industry for myself.
That's so good. That's so good. And so as you started to learn and you started to grow your business, when did the whole concept of Caveman Watches start?
That was 2018. It was about 3 years of just, being in the watch industry. After adding value and I was, creating my own database, I was gathering customers. So
Yeah.
I realized, and I did a lot of experiments to see how people would react to a locally made watch. I did all my groundwork. I gained experience, gathered clientele. So I kind of knew that I was going to hit the ground running. Sort of, I'm not now coming to look for customers. I was already, So 2018, started developing the idea of having my own watch brand. And then late 2018 in December, I sold my first Caveman watch. But I would say from the next month, 2019, was when I started operating like big time, yeah.
So the name Caveman, where does that name come from? Because to be honest, when I hear the name Caveman, when I first heard Caveman Watches, I thought about like a caveman, someone with when they look at the old historical like caveman, like the cartoon, the Flintstones. That's what I thought about first. So where did you come up with the name?
Before I started the brand, I used to, lock myself indoors making watch straps. I was making watch straps, and I used to watch documentaries all the time. And then there were these reports about the pyramids, for example, and how up till now, the modern day geologists cannot figure out how the pyramids were built. So I'm like, these are structures that were built by people who don't have the technology we have now. How are they able to build things so complex that we can't understand now? So it made me kind of have some interest in how craftsmanship was in the past. So I wanted to build a brand that would have the elements of handcraft, the durability and the originality of how the cavemen built their craft. Things that would last for generations like how we have the pyramids and they are still durable and, top-notch till now. So there's elements of handcraft, durability, originality of how the cavemen built their thing. That's what I'm putting into my brand.
Very interesting.
It was never about the club.
Right. You have men's watches. I know that some of your popular watches, there's one that has the blue face. Yeah. That was like the it watch.
Yeah.
It's like the signature.
Yeah.
Where did that whole idea of having a blue face?
Okay, let me confess where I got the inspiration from. Like Louboutins doing the red bottoms. Kind of pick a color and then tied their product with it. Well, oh, they have red bottoms. And I realized that when people people like to have others identify what they're wearing. It's a status thing. So when people wear the red bottoms and they're even taking pictures, they post in a way that they push their feet up. I mean, what's the word if nobody knows what you spent on it? So I'm like, okay, if I make a watch that has a color that can be identified from afar, it would easily sell the brand. And I realized when I was selling watches, other brands of watches, that the watches that I had that had blue dials, they kind of sold quicker than the others. So starting a new brand, I wanted to play it as safe as possible to know what is selling, do that, and make my money back quickly. Mm-hmm. So I think I got that inspiration from the red bottoms concept to do the blue Volta. And I realized that the blue watches used to sell really fast. So these kind of like influenced my decision to design the blue Volta watch. It looks like one of our most simple watches, but the most thought went into that particular watch.
I love that story because it just goes to show that when thought goes into branding, because a lot of young people don't realize how much thought has to go into building your brand and what makes you distinctive from others. Because I'm telling you, whenever I'm out and I see people, I know when they're wearing your watch because I see that blue face. Yes, I see it from a distance and I see that it's yours, so it's quite good to know this story. Yeah.
It worked.
Worked. Yes. And so, there's something I want to talk about before we move on, because you're Ghanaian, born and bred. Mm-hmm. And one of the things in African society, because I would consider this to be a creative job. Although there's a lot of technical work that goes into it, it is quite creative. And I find that a lot of African families are not always very supportive when their children choose to go into industries that are not the traditional, doctor, lawyer, teacher, nurse, accountant. How do your parents feel about this, or if other family members, about when you decided to go into it? Because you started off with selling a watch.
Yeah, selling a watch.
It wasn't even what you're doing now, but in the beginning stages, that's when they probably wouldn't have seen the vision.
It was very hard. It was my mom. My dad had passed before all that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was my mom, and then, she was not in support of it. When I started off, I was still in school at the time in uni. So, I would go selling watches at car parks and people's offices. And there were times that people would take pictures of me and send the pictures to my mom. But is there something wrong with your son? What's happening to your son? Is he okay? I would go sell watches in people's offices and they'll pull a chair and sit me down.
Oh.
Start questioning me.
Really?
Why are you doing this? A young man like you, why don't you go and look for a job? You don't have to do this. I went through that a lot. I think these are some of the challenges I faced the most about people. I'm like, can you just buy the watch and let me go? I was getting that so much. My mom was not in favor of it, but she kind of trusts me so much. So, I was at this crossroads of looking for a job or doing my own thing. So my mom was trying to push me to get a job at the bank. I think she knew someone at the bank who said I should bring my resume. And I told my mom that, I want to try the watch thingy. And I convinced her to give me a year. I told her, you know what, give me just 1 year, okay? Let's have this deal. I'm going to use 1 year to push my own idea. At the end of the year, let's have this talk again. if my thing didn't work, I would go and look for a job. If mine works, then let's agree that I do mine. So I had a deal with my mom. And the moment she agreed, I knew my clock was ticking. I had 1 year to prove a point. So I put everything into it. I had to make it work. So at the end of the year, my mom would see why I wanted to do my own thing. And that's exactly what I did. So after a year, she started seeing the signs that it was, So yeah, it was not easy, but that's how I managed to get away with it, by making a deal with my mom. Give me a year.
So did she end up coming to you at the end of the year and saying, you're right? Like, what happened in that conversation?
Don't apologize. African parents don't apologize. So there was none of that, but thankfully, it's been beneficial to the whole family, I should put it that way. So that's enough for me. And I can't blame her either. Maybe if I was in her position, that's what she knows. Our tradition teaches us to finish school and look for a job.
Yeah.
That's all she knows. I can't blame her. And what I'm doing is I can't blame anybody for not seeing the bigger picture. I was seeing the bigger picture, so it was my responsibility to show it to people. Yeah.
I agree with you that people don't necessarily see, because they only know one way, which is the traditional way, getting a job after you go to school. And so I think that when people like you have a success story, it just goes to show even the next generation how important it is to just stick to your vision and to put all your effort into it, because that's the one thing. Because if you didn't put your all into it, it wouldn't be what it is today. So after that 1 year, then you decided to keep pushing and launch the brand? Or was that was the 1 year of you selling the watches?
That was of me selling watches.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then shortly after, the brand itself came to fruition.
3 years after selling watches, then I started my own brand. So it was just a thought. This thing about me, I don't know how to put it. When I envision things, it's like my energy just draws to it some way, somehow. If I start having visions of building a submarine, and I have no clue how a submarine is built, once I envision it, it's like my energy
goes towards it,
and it's happening. I have a long list of things that I just envisioned, and they keep happening. I keep checking them off the list, So, yeah, I just envisioned, how would it feel like to see people wearing my watch brand? It was just a thought in my mind, So now it's one of the goosebump moments that I get driving in traffic, pull at the red, turn my head, and then the next driver is wearing a Caveman watch. It gives me a reminder of that, how I envision things and work towards them, and they happen. So yes, that was it.
That's good. That's good. So tell me about the brand. Tell me about the watches, because we've talked about the signature blue face. You do have a lot of customization for clients. What made you decide to go into the customization aspect and not only just, purchase what's ready?
The customization aspect kind of gives me room to flaunt my creativity, let me put it that way. As a creative, I think it was going to be too difficult for me to stick with one particular design and just sell 10,000s of just that one design. The itch to do something new is always there. So, we have watches on the shelf. People come and purchase and go. But, I like the feeling when I come into the office and I have a list of watches I need to make to people's unique specifications. And I'm happy when I get to, create things on the daily. Yeah, but I have a lot of watches that are inspired by the Western design. So this is what I do. You come into a market, you need to respect what is already there. So there are watch designs that have been in the global watch space for decades. I respect them, and I make watches inspired by those designs as much as I'm making the indigenous designed watches too. So you would find two types of watch designs on our website. Similar, some that are similar with other designs already in the market, and then you see what we do locally as well. So yes, so it's a good blend. And apart from those two types, like I mentioned, the ones that I get to make bespoke watches, like one-off every now and then. There's some excitement there as well.
Now you have built your own team. That must have been a challenge for you to do that, because you make everything in Ghana.
Not everything, no.
Components are imported, but putting it together.
Putting together everything here, but some components are imported.
Okay, but some are from here and some are imported. Okay. Okay, but it's nice to know that they're being assembled here.
Yeah, we make enough here that people can walk into our showroom. We sit with you on the design table. You get to design your own watch component, what you want here, there, and we can make it for you in a day. So that's how much we make locally here. But some components are beyond our reach now, unless we get probably some investments that the government supported or something. Some components we can't make them now because of financial reasons. So I think I'm moving at a very steady and healthy pace.
I think that your brand has the potential to be one that has a long-lasting legacy. So, I mean, you mentioned that there's brands that you would respect that have been around for decades. And although yours has been around less than 10 years, I do see it as something that will have decades from now, somebody else will be inspired by you, you know, a young person here in Ghana or another part of Africa, because I do see you as a pioneer and a visionary.
Thank you.
Doing what you do.
Thank you so much. That's a dream.
You're bringing the dream to fruition as far as I'm concerned. I know that you're in the beginning stages still, but I think that you're doing a great job. And the next element that I think is really amazing is that you're not only doing this business for yourself, you do a lot of work for the community as well. And I would love to hear a little bit about some of the stuff you do for the community.
Yeah, the first time I did any such project was a water project that we did in the Upper East region. So I was just watching the news, and then there was this report about a community that had to walk for so many miles to access water. It was just very dirty water. So I was like, people drink that, you know? So I asked somebody how much it took to drill a borehole. And when they mentioned the amount, I was like, wait, that's like 2 of my watches, you know? So I felt some kind of imbalance that 2 watches could provide drinking water for thousands of people. You know, I felt really guilty. Let me put it that way. You know, these are watches that somebody could come and buy 30 pieces. You know, 30 pieces, and 2 could drill a borehole. So I felt that imbalance, and I felt the responsibility to, you know, to take some action in that regard. And that's how it started for me. So my purpose had shifted along the way. In the beginning, it was just to make some money to survive. Then the purpose became having workers to be responsible for. Then I feel like the purpose is now bigger than that. It's now about the brand doing well, so we can also reach out to the community. So that's what inspired the whole direction of reaching out to the communities. Yeah, and we're still doing a lot of things in that regard. But predominantly for now, we've been playing a huge role in providing clean water. Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. So when the borehole was drilled for that community, were you able to go there to see what, you know, the results were, to see if people, you know, I'm sure they were very happy and very excited. Did you get a chance to see that?
Yes. When we drilled the borehole, we left the following day or 2 days after. So they had this whole opening ceremony thing where they all came out, they were dancing, you know, did all the traditional stuff. And it was a moment that stayed with me, you know. The gratitude from the people. And I was just confused. Like, how did I get here? I just bought a watch for 50 cities and bought 2 watches. How did it get here that I'm able to do something that is changing some people's life? You know, a lot of people. It really stayed with me for some time, and the feeling that I got from it, it's like worth more than any awards that I had received. So yeah, that's it.
That's good. So your customers can feel good also knowing that, you know, what they're doing, buying from you, is helping to contribute to supporting communities.
We actually have the Water Africa version of all the watches. You'll see a little African map with a water drop logo in some of the watches. We give people the chance to choose. You either buy the watch as it is, or you buy the Water African version of the watch. So if you're buying the Water African version of it, then there's a price increment, and that price increment goes into the fund to drill bulbers. I don't think I wanted to shove it down people's throat to contribute to the project. Maybe somebody doesn't believe in that, so I let people choose. So when you come into the shop to buy a watch, there's an attendant that would brief you about the Water Africa versions. And if you want to support it, you buy the Water Africa version of that watch, and then you donate to the fund to provide clean water.
That's good, because people can get a watch, and at the same time, they can support communities getting access to clean water. So that's good. I love that. So let's take a walk through your shop, take a look at some of the pieces. Yeah.
No need to stress, no need to stress. Oh no need to stress no more.
So when the guys came, they were asking me questions about it. So this is what the lawyer told me, right? He said they are symbols, and anybody could interpret them however they like. So legally, I am safe. I haven't done anything wrong. When the guy came, he was asking questions about it. I was like, no, there's nothing wrong here. The first one actually means that we ride by lifting others. I have explanation for the whole thing here. We ride by lifting others. Some mean that when things are hard, we get down on your knees. And praying. And some mean that at every time you need somebody behind you.
Now I know you. Oh, we know.
Yo, but no shit.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, Anthony.
It's all clean.
We know that he's having enjoyment, right?
Yeah, so controversial watches.
Wait, you have another clock? Yes. Yeah. You don't have a wristwatch like that too?
Coincidentally, I'm wearing one. Coincidentally, this is what I'm wearing.
That's so fire. Oh my goodness.
Coincidentally, it's one of our controversial.
So, we know Anthony.
But I have explained.
He's explained it.
I've explained what the symbols mean.
Sure.
And then you find out the motivational.
So I'm going to get some comments on this video from ladies who are like, oh, is he single? Oh, is he single?
But when they get to know what the symbols mean,
then
they might be disappointed.
They might be disappointed?
Yeah, it's all about
your own interpretation.
It's uplifting. Exactly, uplifting.
So they want to be uplifted by you.
Supporting.
They'll say,
holding each other down in hands.
So can he uplift? So can Anthony uplift?
Yeah, I can uplift a few people who are down. The kid that's put in the towel weight. So yeah, one of Palm with controversial watches.
All right.
And at the watch here, I know a hero. I came up with this idea during the Father's Day period.
Okay.
I was like, what can I do for fathers that can still sell after Father's Day? That it is, I know a hero concept. And then, yeah.
The classic. Oh, that's the hero one.
Yeah, I didn't hero watch. So for any, hero figure in your life, this goes beyond just Father's Day to any time at all of the year. There's a hero figure you want to celebrate. I know in Hero Watch, there's some ideas here that have been inspired by people. Okay, this is the Water Africa.
That's the Water Africa.
Yeah, this is the Water Africa watch. They have the Water Africa indication down there to show that part of this purchase has gone to support the project. What is the Water Africa watch? There's one watch also here the aviator watch. Where is it? We have it in here. One for me. Ah, yeah, it's here. So this concept with the airplane.
Oh, I see it. The flying around.
Yeah. That concept with the airplane flying around.
That is cool. I like it.
I got that
For the traveler.
I saw the Fred Amugi watch here. Did he take it out?
This is
This is a watch dedicated to Fred Amugi, a veteran actor. We had a partnership with him as an ambassador. So proceeds from this watch partnership thingy goes to his foundation.
I see the Adinkra symbols in there.
Yeah. So these are some of the watches that are inspired by the local symbol. Some other ones like this are not unique to us.
Yeah, of course.
Like watch models that
Of course, classic one.
classic, yeah. So that's how we have the bling.
And I see you have some in the showcase behind here.
Yeah, one of my favorite boxes. People always asking me the question of what at all is inside this box.
So we get to see what's inside the box.
I think I like to maintain the mystery.
The mystery. But you sell the box. Or it's for a show.
We've only sold one or two
Mm-hmm.
ever since the brand started. So we made these boxes 2018. So when I made one of these boxes, it took about 4 months to make one. And so I'm always holding it and what's inside this box?
The mystery continues. It's something for these uplifting moments. Big watch.
A big watch? How big could a watch get?
Just at the same size as big.
No, it's not a watch. You got it wrong.
It's a mystery. Mystery continues.
Has so much history. There are symbols from other African countries, Dogon symbols on it. And the masks are from Cameroon. We have our cowries on it. There's a lot happening here.
Great.
So we'll keep that as the spirit of the caveman brand.
Right. So I must say, Anthony, that one of the things that I love about you is that you're a person with a vision and a goal, an entrepreneur who's building a business that's going to be a legacy for Africa. And you treat your workers, your staff very well, I have to say. From what I've seen, I don't know what goes on.
I wonder what they would say to that.
But from what I've seen, because for instance, I remember last year or earlier this year, I can't remember when it was, that you took your team out to go and eat, you know, and there's a lot of people who don't do that. They don't take their team out to appreciate them, to go somewhere, have dinner, have a meal, and just kind of have some camaraderie amongst each other. And it's not a common thing that I see here in Ghana. So I just wanted to commend you for that, that you do make them work hard, but at the same time, you appreciate that the work that they...
Very hard on them.
Yes.
I'm very hard on them. I'm hard on myself, so I'm hard on them too. Because I believe that the company would always only grow as far as the workers would grow as individuals. So my priority is making sure the workers are growing. So if they are not developing, not growing, I don't think the brand will go very far. So I'm very hard on them. Maybe the thing they would do in other companies that they'll get clapped for, like, now you can do better, you know. So we are like a big family here. We are very happy. We go through the ups and downs together. They know what happens in the background. I share everything with them. So yes, I'm glad that you've identified that, and I just wish if it's something that more companies would do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the workers are everything. That's what I.
The workers are everything there. Great. Thank you once again for the time today. I appreciate it. And I have to get my watch from you.
Yeah. Let's get to work on that.
No need to stress.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Your Guide on Ghana. What a great conversation. I love what he's doing. Check out Caveman Watches. Go to the website so that you can purchase your very own, ships worldwide. Use my discount code, which is on the screen, to save yourself a discount when you purchase your very own. And the great thing is you can also know that you could be supporting communities that need access to water, as he mentioned in our conversation. So also follow them on Instagram so that you can see all of the new things that are coming out and find out the things that they're doing within the community. Thank you so much for watching this episode. My name is Ivy Prosper, and I will see you next time.
No need the stress, no need the stress, oh no.